Picture this. Your brain is like an overly enthusiastic security guard that keeps pulling fire alarms when there's just smoke from burnt toast. For millions of people dealing with OCD and anxiety, this isn't just an occasional annoyance. It's a daily reality that can completely hijack their lives. Today, we're diving deep into what OCD and anxiety actually are, how they show up in real life, and most importantly, how you can take back control without relying on medication. By the end of this video, you'll understand why your brain does this and have concrete tools to help it calm down. Let's start with the basics. OCD stands for obsessive compulsive disorder, and it's way more than just being neat or organized like the media depicts it. We're talking about unwanted, repetitive thoughts called obsessions that create intense anxiety, followed by actions or mental rituals called compulsions that temporarily reduce that anxiety. Someone might wash their hands until they bleed because their brain is screaming that they're contaminated, or check the stove 20 times because they're convinced the house will burn down if they don't. Anxiety disorders are the brain's alarm system gone haywire. Instead of alerting you to real danger, it's constantly firing off about potential threats that probably won't happen. Some of the different types include generalized anxiety disorder, where worry becomes your default setting, panic disorder with sudden intense episodes of terror, and various phobias, where specific triggers send you into fight or flight mode. Here's what's interesting. Both OCD and anxiety share a common thread. They're driven by uncertainty and the desperate need for control. Your brain is essentially saying, I don't know what's gonna happen, and that's terrifying, so let me do something to feel safer. Now, here's where most people get it wrong. The natural response when you feel anxious or have an intrusive thought is to fight it, escape it, or do something to make it go away. But this actually teaches your brain that the thought or feeling was dangerous in the first place, making it more likely to sound the alarm again. The solution isn't to eliminate these thoughts and feelings, it's to change your relationship with them entirely. This brings us to the cornerstone of non-medication treatment, exposure and response prevention, or ERP. Think of ERP like gradually getting into a cold swimming pool. If you jump in and immediately jump out, your brain only remembers that pools are awful and cold. But if you stay in long enough, you adjust, and suddenly it's not so bad anymore. The process has 3 key steps. First, identify your triggers. What specific thoughts, situations, or sensations set off your OCD or anxiety? Write these down. Second, allow yourself to feel the discomfort. Instead of pushing feelings away, acknowledge them without judgment. You're not saying they're good or bad, you're just letting them exist. Third, ride the wave. Emotions come and go like ocean waves. Rather than trying to control them, let them wash over you, trusting they'll eventually pass. But here's the crucial part. Sitting with anxiety doesn't mean waiting for it to go away. That's still trying to control it. The goal is complete acceptance, whether the feeling lasts 5 minutes or 5 hours. You're teaching your brain that these thoughts and feelings aren't emergencies requiring immediate action. This process works because when you feel anxious and immediately do something to escape it, your brain learns that the situation was genuinely dangerous. But when you feel anxious and do nothing, your brain eventually realizes it was wrong and stops sending false alarms as frequently. There are specific thinking patterns that make OCD and anxiety worse. Inflated responsibility is believing you're personally responsible for preventing bad things from happening to everyone. Thought-action fusion is thinking that having a bad thought is just as awful as acting on it. Perfectionism demands that you never make mistakes, leading to endless checking and rechecking. The key is recognizing these thoughts are just thoughts, not facts requiring action. I know that's easier said than done, but when you notice that you are feeling overly responsible, called inflated responsibility, try to remind yourself that you can't control everything. And when you experience thought-action fusion, remember that your thoughts don't define you or predict your actions. Another powerful technique called cognitive diffusion is where you observe thoughts without buying into them. Instead of, I'm having the thought that something terrible will happen, you might say, I notice I'm having a catastrophic thought. This creates distance between you and the thought. Acceptance and commitment therapy can also help with the ability to tolerate uncomfortable emotions without acting on them or trying to force them away. This isn't passive resignation, it's active acceptance that discomfort is just part of being human. Building uncertainty tolerance is crucial. Most people with OCD and anxiety need to be completely certain about outcomes, but certainty is largely an illusion. Practice sitting with not knowing by starting small. Maybe don't check the weather obsessively or resist asking for reassurance about something minor. I can say from personal experience that this gets easier over time. Mindfulness practices help you notice thoughts and feelings without getting caught up in them. When anxiety arises, focus on physical sensations, your breathing, heart rate, muscle tension. Describe what you feel without judgment, giving yourself permission to experience whatever comes up. The cold pool analogy applies here too. Fighting against anxiety makes it more painful and last longer. But if you approach it with curiosity and acceptance, acknowledging that it feels uncomfortable but isn't dangerous, you'll adjust much faster. Remember, this isn't about never feeling anxious or having unwanted thoughts. That's impossible and not the goal. It's about changing how you respond to these experiences so they don't control your life. Recovery takes time and practice. Your brain learned these patterns over months or years, so unlearning them won't happen overnight. But every time you choose to sit with discomfort instead of performing a compulsion, you're rewiring your neural pathways toward freedom. The most important thing to understand is that you're not broken, and you don't have to live at the mercy of your thoughts and feelings. With patience, practice, and the right tools, you can teach your overprotective brain that you're actually much safer than it thinks you are. I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please tap the like and subscribe buttons and leave a comment below. Doing so makes sure you won't miss future videos about OCD and mental health. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day.